Okay, we're recording. So we can go ahead and get started here. So today, Ray, were you going to be presenting?
I will present SBL with universal payload.
Okay, sounds good. You want to go ahead and take the floor?
That's okay. If you want to, do you want to click open firstly?
Okay, I will go ahead and do that. So does anybody have any opens? Hi, Arthur. We're just seeing if anybody has any opens.
Nope, no open.
Okay. So no opens. So you can go ahead and get started. Go.
Okay, yeah, let me share. Can you see my sharing?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, today I would talk about the Slim boot and the universal payload, the status. This is the agenda. I would talk about the SBL universal payload support status. Then talk about the two payload with Slim boot, one is OS loader, one is the UEFI payload. Based on that, I would have a summary to call action. Slim boot, basically, when we created the universal payload specification, we did a POC using Slim boot, car boot, and EDK2. So lately we, upstream the POC, make it formal. So now with SBL open source repo, basically already support the universal payload, including it is on top of previously payload it support. It added the ARF image support, since it is defined by the universal payload. Universal payload spec also defined for the bootloader. When bootloader pass their ARF image sections, when it found the section started with the UPLD, the bootloader need to report these sections to the payload. Slim boot also did that. Slim boot also meet the universal payload handoff state, including completed memory and silicon initialization, page table, PCI enumeration, register, stack, etc. Slim boot have stage 1, 2, then the payload. So from stage 2 is the interface to before transfer to the payload. It using the hubs. Basically, Slim boot provided all the hubs defined by the universal payload on top of the existing hubs that might for advanced feature for different purpose. After start from the OS loader payload. Yes, for Slim boot loader repo, it have Slim boot stage 1, stage 2 code, also have the OS loader payload code. All of them in the Slim boot open source repo. So OS loader payload is the default payload to boot 9UEFI OS. So stage 2 and is the after stage 2. It would pass the hubs to the payload. The payload could be other payload, for example, UEFI payload, firmware updated payload, setup payload, Linux payload, yeah, different payload. Most of the payload Scalable used is OS loader payload and UEFI payload. So for their hubs, yeah, it is very similar with the EDK2 using the hub as the interface to pass the information from CD2 to the payload. Any question for this page? Okay, basically, for the Scalable loader, either previously, before we enable universal payload, it already used the hub, right? So currently, Scalable, I mean, still have the old hubs. On top of that, we added the universal payload. It means Scalable have old hubs and then new hubs for the universal payload. So for the new hubs, I mean, for the new payload, including the OS loader, we already, updated it to use the universal payload defined hubs. And so we try to avoid use the older hubs. That's the current situation. Scalable with UEFI payload. When we previously we used the Scalable enabled on different platform with UEFI payload, including Apollo Lake, Coffee Lake, Karma Lake, Tag Lake, Eld Lake. Also recently we open sourced Eld Lake. All this open source, SPL project, they use different UEFI payload. Basically, they build from open source the EDK2 plus some internal platform specific module, mainly for secure boot, for the SM variable enable, this kind of thing. When we move to the universal payload, so we abstract this SM variable secure boot, this module, to have one module with a clear defined interface with the Scalable so we could use same module with SM variable support, works on different SPL project. And this one, SM variable solution recently, we also upstream to the EDK2. So if you build universal UEFI payload from EDK2, by default, it could work with different SPL project with SM variable enabled. Yeah, at the same time, previously it have some pass library in the payload. It passes the required information from SPL old hubs. Now this one is removed. The pass library is not required. Everything the payload needed, the information it gets from the hub. That is defined by the universal payload spec. Yeah, with this, after we uploaded the SM variable solution to EDK2, we realized there is some changes needed. I will talk in the next page. Before that, any question to this page? Okay, move to the next one. The issue I realized is that for the EDK2 repo, it mainly have the modules defined by the industrial standards. So recently, we added the module to the EDK2. It has something, for example, SPI library, have the inter-PCH library module. That one is not defined by industrial spec. It is Intel, platform or silicon specific. It might be not good place to put it into EDK2. So we think maybe it is better put into EDK2 platform repo. So in this way, we still build UEFI, universal UEFI payload from EDK2 repo. This one, by default, will not have SM variable modules. Then we build another platform FV from EDK2 platform repo. This one would have the SPI driver, have the PCH driver. This one could be common module, works for all the Intel, silicon driver. So same, still common, but only common for Intel, silicon. Might not work for AMD or other, vendors. So for this common driver, during the post build, we added this platform FV as a section to the universal UEFI payload, which is built from EDK2 repo. So for Slim boot, it could support both payload. If built from EDK2 repo, that only consume the standard interface, maybe defined by the universal payload. That doesn't, if you put this one, it doesn't support SM variable. If you put this new, payload, it have the platform FV. The Slim boot might include some extra hubs. This hubs is not defined by universal payload spec yet. This hubs would be consumed by the platform FV. So this way, this new payload could support the SM variable driver. This, still same binary, could work with Slim boot on different platform, but it would, build from different repo. But it is fully open sourced. Any question for this one? Currently, I'm trying to find where exactly this package would be located in the ED2 platform, but it is still not finalized yet. Yeah, but it should be able to build from this one. Okay. Yeah, besides this common FV that is common for all the Intel platform we mentioned before. It might be some corner case specific to for the UEFI payload. They might need have some platform specific module. For example, currently different project platform, they have different Haki module. I'm not sure how lately we could be able to have a common Haki driver that could work on different project, but for at least for now, different projects have different Hacky driver. So for this case, we might be have another, for example, Taglic. For Taglic, we might have a Taglic platform package. If the module is open source, it may be also in the EDK2 platform. We build from there, build a platform-specific FA. Similarly, like platform FA, during the post build, we add this FA as a separate section into the universal unified payload. So for this separate, for this FA, for Scalable, it might need additional hubs to pass to this platform if needed. From the interface viewpoint, it is still, same interface. We pass this info using hub, but universal payload spec doesn't prevent you pass additional information. So this way, we don't need to do any change to the spec or the bootloader. They could still support the different use cases for the customer or vendor specific modules. So yeah, this is what we are trying to do, and currently some of them is ready. So any question on this page? Okay. Basically, so for the next step, it might be, we call it called action. Whoever work on as the payload for SPL, try to use the universal payload interface if possible. For the hubs, for same information, you might find that information defined in the universal payload interface hub or in the old hub. Try to use the new hub, universal payload hub. And for the platform specific module, we mentioned, for example, the Hacky driver. If we have time, we try to standardize if possible. If we could, abstract the interface with the bootloader, and we could have one, Hacky driver for all the module, that would be great. And for the common interface, we already have. If it is mature enough, it could, for example, support different bootloader, different platform, and verified. After that one is verified, we might add this new hubs to the universal payload spec. So that's the plan. Another thing we want to mention, currently in the universal payload, even SM variable already support in the universal unified payload. There are scalable, verifiable. This interface, we are still working on it. We try to standardize in the Q2. Yeah, hopefully, if we could standardize it, it could be, might be added into the universal payload spec if it is mature enough. Yeah, that's for the Scalable with the universal payload status. Any question or feedback on this?
Very nice presentation, Go.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Dongguo, is I think that is a build step for you use the payload, right? Could you mind to share the link?
For the build step, if you build from EDK2, right? Current EDK2, it already have a build script. It is a Python script called build payload. That script is located in the UEFI payload package. You can directly call that script. That one would directly build the airflow UEFI payload. Yeah, currently the SM variables I mentioned, it is still in the EDK2 repo. I already submit a patch to the EDK2 platform repo for the SM variable modules. Once that one is approved, I would remove some of the PCH related module from EDK2 and update the build script. So at that time, you should be able to build the universal payload, this one, command one, from the EDK2 platform repo. You could build this one without the platform FV from the EDK2 repo. Both we will provide a single build script, generate the whole payload package.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah, welcome. Any other question? Okay, if no other question, I will stop sharing. Yep.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay.
So are there any topics anybody else would like to bring up for discussion?
I have one. In light to this, currently, thanks to thanks to the help from Ray and also Dongguo, helping the corporate community with the upstreaming the EDK2 patches. So Sean Rodgers from the corporate community also actually help working on the universal payload for the corporate, which is picked up from where was left by Subrata last time, and just he's doing some polish and he will start the upstream soon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We have email with Sean. Sean also work on Cobol to try to upstream some Cobol to support the universal payload. Also with I also added a Tanduin who presented Cobol with the universal payload in the previous presentation. Yeah, we would work together. It would be great to make progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we can discuss in the meeting tomorrow. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
So you're saying that was underway right now, that you're getting ready to upstream those universal payload changes for core boot?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Sean is the one who working on that. Yes.
Is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss?
And then also, sorry I couldn't join last week. Last meeting I was having down with COVID. And there's one more thing as well. On the self-describing blog, where was driving by Zhi Kwang and also Ray. We have a bi-weekly discussion with the community as well, and so far, the receipt is we have also bring up to the corporate leadership meeting and also discuss among the mailing list. And so far, it seems like the net outcome is positive. And then we are still working together with Ray and Zhi Kwang so we can iron out more details later. Yeah, so thanks to Ray for the help on this.
Yeah, that one is still open in the USF. So yeah, we will work with the corporate community, try to finalize that format. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a bit strange. So not to say strange, but then there was, I mean, it's good to see that there's a communication and collaboration between EDK2 and corporate, which both are very mature people, and the working together can be really helpful to make the architecture better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So topic for our next meeting next month?
I'm thinking configuration might be
Okay.
good. Then I see Arthur on the line. Maybe some of the stuff you were driving, Arthur, some of the board config too. Because maybe we should see if we could also queue up. So I'm thinking maybe Tung Loon and talk him into it, doing some of the configuration overview as a tentative next topic, Nikki, as we work our way down from the top down of the USF stack.
Okay.
A lap through the existing art that's out there. We do
So-
a second lap then through some of the fusion issues around it, but at least
What was the name? What was the name for the configuration for next week, maybe?
I think
Or for next month?
Tung Loon, is that the right pronunciation duo?
Yeah, Talun.
How do you,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, how do you spell that? I'm trying to put this in the notes.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. I'll
Thank
find
you.
it.
Perfect.
So Vincent,
Thank you.
I'm trying to get Red Hat had I signed up for our tech days on the 25th of April, but I'll see if I can get them to come to the 27th meeting. Wait, is that Mickey? Is that a meeting, or is that's an off week, isn't it?
Which one?
The April 27th. So they already tentatively scheduled the tech days for Red Hat on the 25th. I'm sure if I can try and get them to come in on the 20th. This is the Ansible team at Red Hat, which does all the configuration for the playbooks on OpenShift and a lot of the servers, CSP cloud servers. Trying to get them to review the configuration stuff since Ansible does a lot of platform configuration. So I think that's tentatively scheduled for the 25th, but I still don't see any Ansible people in the tech days. I'm trying to get them into this meeting. So I guess the 20th or the 4th would be April 20th or May 4th would be the next logical.
Yeah, May 4th is our next. May 4th is our next meeting. So
I thought there's one on the 20th of April.
is there one on the 20th? Maybe I
USF.
missed that. Oh yes, you're right.
But like I said, they still haven't hunted down the people from the Ansible team, and I did want them to at least try and review the configuration, the YAML configuration.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally they'd be here, but if not, we can walk through, we'll have the recording and catch them up. You can use this as an opportunity to catch them all, but at least have exposition that can you offline. And
Right. So would it be possible to have this done, the talk done by the 20th then, or not? Then I could have them review it if the Tech Days is in the following week, the 25th, the week of the 25th. If you're not scheduling this next talk for the 4th, right? It's for the 20th is the next meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, any other topics for discussion? Okay, with no additional topics, I'm gonna,
Hi,
oh, go ahead.
hi, Vincent. Can I have a follow-up question to your to our discussion last time?
sure.
Yeah. So last time we discussed a great deal about the more open discussion about the USF, and also we also talk about the FSP and stuff. So I took a deeper look at the code as well. There's a great deal, something like for example, 64-bit reset. There are many technical things that can be shared and discussed, especially for the FSP side, which is, I think, many people will be very concerned, quite interested in this topic. So that's why it would be great when the USF is trying mature towards the spec. Is it possible to share more information about that, the next FSP and stuff?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think we could do that, especially things like the 64-bit being closed-ended, but some of the changes will walk through that. I think the QEMU port's been out there for a while, as have a lot of the bootloader ports, and so I think that one. Some of the thinking on the optional SMM encapsulation. We have Ravi Ranganathan on the phone. Could help lead that. So yeah, I think those could be some upcoming topics also, if you believe that's yeah, I think it makes sense from a community perspective. So perhaps that could be I am Tung. He says he's okay for a go date of next week, our next meeting on config. So maybe the next successive meeting, we could do the sort of prospective FSP 2.4 discussion. And probably we put out that timeline and we market it, or not market it, post it broadly. We'll get maybe interested parties can show up for those discussions also. So I think that's a great suggestion. Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Any other topics? Last call. Okay, it sounds like there are no other topics. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.